The sound of shattering glass echoed through the quiet diner. A plate had slipped from the waitress's hands, crashing onto the floor. But Elizabeth didn't flinch. Her eyes weren't on the mess. Her gaze was locked onto something far more shocking. A locket. A small, golden locket that glimmered under the dim lights. A locket she had given her daughter, Lily, 20 years ago. What if a simple meal led to the discovery of a truth buried by time? Could a single object unlock a past you thought was lost forever? Imagine for a moment, what if someone you lost, someone you thought was gone forever, suddenly appeared in front of you? Would you recognize them? Would they recognize you? This is the story of Elizabeth Harrington, a woman whose life was built on power and wealth, yet haunted by an emptiness money could never fill. And maybe, just maybe, her story will remind you of something, or someone, you've been missing too. Elizabeth had everything except the one thing she longed for the most: her daughter, Lily. 20 years ago, Lily vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and sleepless nights. Have you ever felt that kind of loss? The kind that never truly fades? She searched, she prayed, but over time, she learned to live with the pain, at least on the surface. One fateful afternoon, she returned to the place where her life had unraveled. Have you ever been drawn back to a place that holds your deepest pain? As if something unfinished is calling you back? That day, she craved something simple, something real, and stumbled upon a small diner named Sunnyside Eats. As she walked in, the scent of fresh coffee and warm bread wrapped around her like a distant memory. And then she saw her, a young waitress, moving gracefully between tables, her presence carrying a quiet strength. Elizabeth felt something stir inside her, a sense of familiarity that she couldn't explain. Have you ever looked at a stranger and felt as if you knew them? Then she saw it, the small gold locket around the waitress's neck, a locket identical to the one she had given Lily all those years ago. Her heart pounded. Could it really be? Could fate be this cruel, or this kind? The moment of truth arrived. "That's a beautiful locket," Elizabeth said, her voice barely steady. The waitress touched it gently, unaware of how this tiny object held the key to her past. "Thank you. It's very special to me." The walls of time began to crumble as Elizabeth reached into her purse, her hands trembling. She pulled out a worn photograph, a picture of a little girl clutching the same locket. "Do you recognize this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The waitress studied the photo. Her eyes widened. This little girl looks like me when I was young." Elizabeth took a deep breath. "That's because it is you." Imagine hearing something so unbelievable, so life-changing, that it makes you question everything you've ever known. Could you handle it? Could you believe it? The waitress, Anna, froze. Her whole life she had believed she was abandoned. And now, this woman, this stranger, was telling her she was loved, wanted, searched for. Would you believe it if you were in her shoes? Could you open your heart to a truth so unexpected? "Why now?" Anna whispered. "After all these years, why today?" Elizabeth reached for her hand, her voice filled with longing. "Because I never gave up on you. Because a mother's love never fades. If you've ever felt lost, if you've ever felt forgotten, know this: love has a way of finding its way back. Maybe, just maybe, some things are never truly lost. And if this story has stirred something inside you, ask yourself, who is waiting for you to find them? Because at the end of the day, love never lets go. Not really. And just like Elizabeth and Anna, maybe your story isn't over yet either.